Hi, how are you? So in this video, I'm going to be talking about my very first Sony MiniDisc recorder. Now this is a format that I've been interested in ever since I first learned about it back in the 1990s. I've never owned one before, but it's always been on my mind and I always found them very interesting and I always wanted to own one. So recently I was able to buy this one used from Japan. I found it for a very good price on eBay. And the model of this is the Sony MZ-R91. And it's in very good working condition. I haven't actually used it yet, but I've powered it up and it seems to work great. I did order some blank mini discs, which are on the way right now. In this video, I'm not really going to be operating this little device. I'm just basically doing an introduction and I'm just going over the various buttons and inputs and outputs on this MZ-R91. But I do hope to do a video in the future where I will actually be recording with it and showing it in operation. And plus too, I'll mention, a lot of people don't realize this, but back in the 90s when MiniDisc first came on the market, there were actually a number of pre-recorded mini discs that you could buy by your favorite singers and your favorite artists. And I've never owned one, but I recently ordered one so I can play it on this little player. I won't tell you who the artist is. I'll reveal that in a future video, so stay tuned for that. So again, this is the Sony MZ-R91. And as soon as I took it out of the package, I couldn't believe it's absolutely tiny. It's so tiny and so lightweight. I was really blown away when I first received it. This part up here, this is actually a battery compartment and it is detachable. You can take it off. You can power it a few different ways. You can power it with one AA battery. There's also an internal battery which you can charge. And you can run it that way, and you can also hook it up via an adapter and use it that way as well. But again, this thing is small to begin with, and you can just imagine if you take off that little battery compartment, it's even smaller. So super compact, super lightweight. So basically, we have here a little display screen that shows you your track number and all that sort of thing. And from what I understand, if you make your own mini discs, you can actually use this recorder to title the songs and label the songs any way that you like, which I think is also fun as well. So basically, the controls on this thing are pretty standard. They're very similar to a standard compact disc player. You have a toggle switch over here that goes up and down, and that basically controls your menu selections if you want to go through and choose the different features that you can use on this model. So basically this little button over here on the left is a stop button, and it also acts as a charge button when you want to charge the internal battery. You have your play button here and you have pause over here. You have go back and go forward, or skip back and skip forward between selections. And this button over here is an end search button. And you also have your volume controls over here, and this button here is your record button, which as you can see, you move it over and it locks into place. Now I'm just going to show you how this thing opens. There's basically a little switch over here on the bottom, and I push that switch. Have a listen, it sounds awesome. Yeah, and that's basically where you put in your mini disc, either a pre-recorded or a blank mini disc. Again, really compact, really light, and you just shut it by pressing the door. So when I show you this side over here on the left, you basically have a port for your headphones, and you also have this port here that's also a line out, a special kind of line out. You have a microphone or plug in, and you also plug your adapter into that red port, and you also have a line in optical. So if you wanted to do a digital to digital recording, you could use that optical connection there. And again, that's the switch for opening the door. And that's pretty much it. Over here we have a T mark button, which, as I understand, you can place different marks in a recording, sort of like a reference mark, if I'm not mistaken. And that's what it looks like on the back. And over here it says hold, and this little tab over here says synchro record, off and on. So just a wonderful little unit. I'm so glad I found it. It's in excellent condition. I'm really excited to give it a try. As I said, very soon I will have some blank mini discs that I'm very excited to try out. And on that note, I'll mention that it was actually quite easy to find blank sealed mini discs. There's quite a few of them still out there. And they're fairly affordable. I was quite amazed at how affordable they were. Now, I also learned that this particular model was manufactured in 1999. Now, I thought initially that's a very late model because in my head I'm thinking, I think MiniDisc first came out on the market in 1990, and I thought they had started to fade away around the late 90s, but I've learned that they were actually around quite a bit longer than that. I think I read somewhere that Sony was still making MiniDisc recorders up until 2013, which amazed me. I had no idea that they were around that long. By the way, MiniDisc never really took off in North America. It was quite popular in Japan and in certain Asian markets and even in certain European markets, but it never quite took off in North America. And I've read that a big reason for that is that a lot of record companies were very, very hesitant to release recordings on the MiniDisc format. I'm not really sure why, but that's a big reason why the format eventually died out. So as I said, in the future I do hope to post some further videos about my MiniDisc player. I hope to show it in action, both playing pre-recorded MiniDiscs and also using it as a recorder with some blank MiniDiscs that are on the way. I'll also mention too that back around the mid-90s, this would have been around 1994, I used to jam with some friends, and one of my friends had one of these recorders, and I remember he used to record our jam sessions, and I remember listening back to the recordings and thinking, wow, that sounds so good and so crystal clear. Keep in mind, by that point, I was only familiar with cassette recording. And that was the very first time, actually, that I ever heard digital recording. This was shortly before recordable compact discs came along. And I was absolutely amazed. It just blew me away. It was astounding. So ever since then, I've always wanted to get my hand on a mini disc recorder, and now I have one. So that's my brief little introduction to this. I was able to find the manual for this recorder online, no problem at all. It didn't take much effort at all, and I was able to find the manual for free. So thank you very much for watching. Please stay tuned for future mini disc recorder videos. Please feel free to leave a comment, give us a thumbs up, and as always, if you haven't already subscribed, please do. We now feature over 300 videos on this channel, and I'd be more than happy if you would join us. It's always appreciated. Thank you so much. We'll see you again next time. Take care. Bye-bye.